video. Why can't I get that? No. I'm gonna redo that. Hey everyone, Krissy here with 2 Sheep, 1 Wheat, and today's video is a comparison video on 2 board games, Wingspan and Everdell. Let's get to it. So let's go ahead first of all, and we're gonna get the similarities out of the way. Both games do come with cards. Wingspan would obviously come with bird cards. Oh my God, they're upside down again. Wingspan comes with bird cards. These bird cards do come with benefits on them, and it'll actually tell you where you can place them on your board. Now with Everdell, you get these cute little creature cards. These creature cards also have benefits on them, but you can actually link them up with other cards and not be able to pay the cost for them. Both cards do have victory points that are on them. A lot of them have different victory points if you have like Wingspan cards tucked underneath of them. And then Everdell, if you have them linked up with different critters or different construction cards, you can get extra bonuses for that too. Now they both do come with resources. Now with Wingspan, they are just punched out tokens. You have fish, wheat, you have berries, and you have mice and vertebrae. And these are the costs that you would need to pay to be able to play your cards down. Now, I'm not really going to be touching on the expansions in this game. However, I will say that the expansions for both of these games really do help and really make the game that much more better. So with one of the expansions for Wingspan, you get these nectar tokens, which are kind of a wild resource. So now with Everdell, you have these berries. These are my favorite berries. I will link that video up here because I talk about them all the time. One thing that I do like about Everdell is that all of their resources are completely different. Berries are squishy, they're pink, the wood is made out of wood, and they look like wood. And then you have, I want to say amber, I know it's not amber. Cut to commercial. Oh, resin. Okay, so these are resin. So the resin, nice and see-through. These ones are pretty cute too. And then you have pebbles or stone, which are nice and soft, and they look like pebbles. So that is the resources for Everdell. Now, another similarity, kind of, is that both of these games come with something 3D. So with Everdell, you get this nice little Evertree, which is basically where you can put your cards and you can place your meeples. And it'll also tell you right here up at the top the 4 different seasons. I guess 3 seasons, but you're starting off in 1 season and then you have 3 more left. So which is another similarity with Wingspan is that it does go over 4 rounds as well. So the 3D for Wingspan would be their dice tower and these awesome cool dice, which is how you get your resources in Wingspan. Now Wingspan also comes with something else, and it is eggs. Your birds can lay eggs, and these are worth victory points at the end of the game too. So those are all pretty much the similarities within the game. Now for different kind of mechanism-wise how they work, Wingspan, there are, I would say, probably 3 different things that you can do. I guess maybe 4. So you can either play a bird card down by paying the cost. Now as you get further on in the game, the cost is the resource, and eventually later on you will need to pay eggs to be able to play those bird cards down, depending on how far you are on your tableau. You can also you can also choose food from the bird feeder, because that's what it's called. It's not a dice tray, it's a bird feeder. So you can also do that in Wingspan. Or you can draw more cards to be able to, maybe you don't have the cost, the resources to pay for the cards that you have in your hand. So you could always purchase more cards or use your action to gain more cards, more bird cards. Then you have your other option where you can lay eggs on your birds. Now on these cards, make sure it's upright, there is a number up here, and that is the number of eggs that you can have on each card. Now, to be able to do any of those actions in Wingspan, you have your personal cubes, and that is how you can keep track of how many rounds you've gone or how many turns you've had in that round. And as you go on throughout the 3 other rounds, you're using those same cubes to track your victory. And if you were first place, second place, if you had the most points for that specific round, or if you had the least amount of points that specific round. So each round you go on, you get 1 less cube. So making your first round the longest. And each after that 1 more cube shorter than the last. Now with Everdell, you actually have your meeples. So you start off with 2. And the other 3 are actually in the seasons on top of the tree. You'd place them on top of the tree, like so. And you'd be able to collect some depending on what season it is. So with Everdell, as the seasons go on, as you prepare for season, you get more workers. Therefore, in Everdell, making every single round 1 extra meeple longer. So with Everdell, using your meeples, you're able to, because it does come with a board, so you're able to place your worker, your meeple, on specific areas in the forest that will either gain you cards, it'll gain you resources, or you can buy a card. And essentially using these resources that your meeples pick up, that you can play your cards down, which would be these costs right up here. So you're able to pay those costs and you can play them down. Now there are the benefits down here at the bottom. Anything that has this little green icon, you can take right away. And along with those green icons, you can take those again whenever you prepare for season, for spring and, I just hit the mic, for spring and for autumn. Now with Wingspan, you do have your personal objectives. There are different ways to gain more throughout the game, potentially helping you get more points towards the end. Now with Everdell, you actually have the options, depending on how many cards or how many of a specific card that you have for Everdell on the cards that you have in front of you, you can actually gain different bonuses for those. They will give you extra victory points, say if you have 3 of these cards with this green icon on it. And they actually have another way of gaining victory points with Everdell, is that there are 4 extra cards that go on the top of these trees here. And that is, again, depending on how many or different cards that you have. If you can make a combination between 2 cards, and they'll be specific to that game. If you can have those 2 in your play area, then you would be able to collect that. And usually giving you victory points or even allowing you to do specific things like stack some resources on top of those cards, or potentially having a spot that you can place a meeple on there, allowing you to maybe retract a meeple or to activate a specific spot for a second time without placing another meeple on there. So there are a bunch of different benefits, different effects that you can do with Everdell. Now with Wingspan, yes, you still have those specific things that you can do right here. And now because you're spending, or actually these cards right here have specific locations that you can place these cards. Now if you're able to, wow, look at me picking 3 forest birds in a row. So now if you're able to place these down on your board, this one, whenever it's activated, every player gets a wheat from the supply. This one, when you play it down right away, you get to draw 2 new bonus cards and keep 1, which are those cards, those personal objectives that I was telling you earlier about. And then this one, whenever it's activated, you get 1 vertebrae from the supply. So now when you place these ones, the forest is actually where you're able to take some of these from the bird feeder. Now with Wingspan, I find that specific places that you can place your birds definitely has the same effect with the benefits on the cards. So the forest one is collecting resources, while I find the forest birds are about collecting resources as well. Now let me see if I can find any in here. Okay, so this is a water card, a water bird. Now water allows you to, whenever you place your cube in the water section down at the bottom, you're allowed to play or choose different cards. So for the first one, you can pick one card, and as you're laying down your bird cards, then you can potentially grab 2 or 3 different cards. So when you're playing a water bird and you can activate it later, you're going to end up with a lot more cards too. So I find that it's a good way to be able to get a lot of resources or a lot of cards and just, I think, double your chances of being able to actually play something. So time-wise for both of these games, they are quite similar. I think Wingspan is 40 to 70 minutes, and Everdell I saw 40 to 80 minutes. So again, they're both pretty similar in time. I would say that there's probably a little bit more strategy with Everdell, being able to link up those cards down on your player area, and also collecting your resources, trying to pay for those cards, but also getting your meeples out in really good spots that will allow you to do other things too. If you missed the playthrough of Everdell, I will link that up here for you, and you will see how I kind of struggle with this game a little bit. I will say right now that Everdell is probably not my favorite game. Wingspan is, and I would just say because it is a little bit easier, I can get that game out during the day while the kids are awake, and to me it's a little bit more of a relaxing game. I don't have to think as much. Yes, you are still trying to link up those cards to be able to maximize those benefits whenever they are activated. So I would say both games, time-wise, they're very, very similar. Wingspan is 40 to 70 minutes, and Everdell is 40 to 80 minutes. Yeah, 40 to 80 minutes. Wingspan plays 1 to 5 players, where Everdell plays 1 to 4. Plays 1 to 4 players. To me, Wingspan is a little bit easier to play than Everdell. I do have a hard time with really paying attention and trying to plan out my next move and to make sure that I'm able to link up everything. There's definitely some luck in both of these games, really, depending on what cards that you get. So I would definitely take advantage. There are a couple of spots on Everdell's board where you're able to drop some cards and gain resources instead of it, or even draw up more cards. So definitely getting those cards shuffled and being able to draw a lot more will definitely get the ball rolling, and it'll definitely help you out in your gameplay with Everdell. Wingspan, there are some ways that you can shuffle through those cards as well, right? As long as you can link those up and be able to get a whole bunch. There are some cards in there too where, like, if you draw 4 cards, then you can choose one of them and you can just discard the other one. So there are, in both games, a lot of ways that you're able to cycle through a lot of those cards, as long as you take advantage of them. And I feel like the more that we play these games, the easier that it is getting to be able to find a strategy on how to play between both of these games. I find Everdell a lot prettier to look at. It's got a lot more vibrant colors. It's got, like, the resources compared to Everdell or to Wingspans, right? Just the punched out ones versus these ones where they're so pretty, vibrant, all different textures, all different materials. And then the Evertree with all the different cards, right, compared to each other, even the backs of them. Here's the backs to them. And then the front of them. Definitely a lot more color in these ones. The birds on these cards, though, you get some really pretty ones. You can go through all of them. And honestly, we're always finding new cards, new birds, every single time that we play Wingspan. And we've probably played both of these a crap ton of times. And there's still new cards that come up. So I think that would conclude my comparison between Wingspan and Everdell. Let me know what your thoughts are about these two games down in the comments. Let me know what you think about them, which one you enjoy playing more, and let me know if I missed anything down in the comments down below. I try to respond to every single one of them. So this, again, was the comparison on Wingspan and Everdell. I hope to catch you next video. Wait, what? What is happening? What is happening? I don't understand this.